Almost all of our expectations about love and relationships have been set by Hollywood. The problem is that these movies are putting absurd ideas into our minds about what love really looks like, which can lead to some boneheaded decision-making, maybe even ruining what could have been a great relationship. So in this video, we're going to look at 8 ways that Hollywood ruins your relationships. And a caveat here, this goes against romantic conventional wisdom that is often espoused by friends, family, and Instagram quotes. And I share it in the hopes that it improves the quality of your relationships, even though a major theme is that I'm trying to take you off of love's roller coaster. Which actually brings us to the first point and the title of the video: movies train us to substitute emotional intensity for emotional quality. This is the bipolar nature of Hollywood romance. You can think about it from a scale of -10 to +10, and a Hollywood romance lives at the extremes. For instance, the Beast is awful to Belle, kidnapping her, and then they have their beautiful dance, then they have to fight for love, and finally they are reunited. In The Notebook, Noah and Allie are head over heels in love, then painfully separated, then reunited with tons of drama to spare, and this scene displays it well visually.
They fought all the time, and they challenged each other every day. But despite their differences, they had one important thing in common. They were crazy about each other.
The biggest offender here is probably Twilight. There are too many whiplash moments in the series to count, and the entire series is about the rush and obsession that comes with being together, followed by the suicidal depression that the characters experience when they're torn apart. Now, the list goes on, but the point is that these relationships are driven not by positive experiences, but by drama, as defined by the dramatic reversal of fortune. And to be fair, this goes back way before Hollywood. Romeo and Juliet, the most well-known romance of all time, is a story about 2 13-year-olds who've known each other for 5 days before deciding to commit suicide when they can't be together. Now, you may inadvertently be chasing the same roller coaster relationships and passing up on the ones that are just consistently good, thinking that if there isn't drama, there must not be love. And you would be better served to aim for a genuine lack of drama in your relationships. Something that would make for an uninteresting movie can make for an incredible relationship. Now, our second point has to do with how we find our partners. Most movies pander to the fantasy that despite how bumbling, awkward, and uninteresting others may find you, the perfect person will magically take interest because they see the real you deep inside. Take 50 Shades of Grey, for example, where a 27-year-old self-made billionaire takes special interest in a socially awkward college student that's interviewing him for the school paper. The roles are reversed in The Girl Next Door, where the beautiful and spontaneous Danielle literally shows up on Matthew's doorstep to take him on crazy adventures, despite the fact that he demonstrates nothing interesting about himself.
So what's the craziest thing you've done lately?
Oh, I mean, it's hard to tell, you know, because I've just done so much nuts stuff. I mean, it's just off the hook, off the walls. I mean...
You haven't done anything, have you?
The fantasy here is that without changing anything, your dream guy or girl will pluck you up and whisk you into a magical life. Now, the truth, which we all encounter every single day, is that no one is going to pick you if you're morose or uninteresting. If you want someone spontaneous, fun-loving, or accomplished, your best bet is to put in the effort to become that type of person. Otherwise, you won't even catch their eye when your paths do cross. Another early relationship trope that you will see is love at first sight, and it looks like this.
I'm really very sorry.
And it's no mistake that in every version of this trope, from The Little Mermaid to Twilight or The Notebook, the person that's being seen is impossibly beautiful, which is your first clue that love at first sight has far more to do with fleeting attraction than with long-lasting love. Now, unfortunately, this makes us incredibly prone to mistaking attraction for love in our own lives. Then, like our favorite movies, we ignore the wise advice of our friends and justify sacrificing our values and goals in the name of love. Despite the swelling music that frequently accompanies these scenes, don't be fooled. It's not romantic and attractive to be googly-eyed for someone that you don't yet know. It's shallow, and it's a disservice to the friends and the family who have probably been there for you your entire life. Now, one particular symptom of buying into the trope of love at first sight is the refusal to take no for an answer, which is our fourth point. Love in Hollywood is proven by ignoring rejection. Here's The Notebook's Noah asking Allie, for instance, to dance after seeing her just for a few seconds.
You wanna dance with me?
No,
Why not?
because I don't want to.
Now, it would be fine if this was the end of it, but Noah of course goes on to threaten suicide if Allie won't go on a date with him.
Alright, well you leave me no other choice then. Oh my god!
Okay, fine. I'll go out with you.
And while she does give in that scene, she winds up still avoiding him, which makes sense, but of course Noah tracks her down in the street and presses her further. These are the behaviors of a stalker, and we see it romanticized in several other films. Pop Culture Detective has an entire video on this stalking as love trope alone. Other times the rejection that we see takes the form of self-disqualification, where the person says that they would make for a terrible partner. Here's Natalie Portman in No Strings Attached, clearly signaling that she's not interested in a loving relationship.
Why don't you go find some other girl who's not gonna hurt you?
Because I love you.
But of course, the romantic plot insists that Ashton ignore her, which of course works out in the end. Part of Edward Cullen's entire mysterious appeal is that he says outright that he's not a good match.
What does that mean?
It means if you were smart, you'd stay away from me.
In the real world, do yourself a favor. When someone tells you that they're bad for you or not ready for a relationship or just not interested, take them at their word. Now, of course, every relationship will have its rough patches. The standard way to handle these is our fifth crazy trope, and it's giving large, unrequested gifts as a way to make amends. I've picked on this movie a bunch already, but The Notebook is just a repeat offender, so here it goes again. For context, Noah dates Allie for one summer when they are 17 years old. They separate, and over 10 years pass. Then Noah sees Allie and discovers that she's happily engaged to her wonderful fiance. So Noah completely rebuilds the house where they lost their virginity in an attempt to win Allie back. Because the plot demands it, this works. They live happily ever after. Similarly, John Cusack blasted a boombox over his head to get back with his girlfriend and say anything. And public declarations of love, like in Crazy Stupid Love, are commonplace in these films. The problem here is twofold. First, if you've ended a relationship with someone, it gives the impression that a grand gesture should be grounds for reconsideration, which of course ignores the fact that many people can be great at grand gestures and completely weak on the day-to-day joy that makes a relationship worth having in the first place. The other issue is that we learn to pursue partners who won't accept a simple heartfelt apology when we've done wrong. We joke that someone might be in the doghouse without recognizing that their partner is holding the relationship ransom pending the delivery of a large, often expensive gift. So when a partner won't forgive, you are better off apologizing and then granting them the space they've requested rather than trying to Hollywood your way back into their life. Now, I mentioned Allie's fiance in the last bit, which is our sixth point, and it's that according to Hollywood, pursuing someone who is currently in a relationship is romantic and not at all doomed to failure. We see this in the Titanic, Wedding Crashers, even Casino Royale, though of course it's treated less romantically in his case.
You're not my type.
Smart.
Single.
In The Wedding Singer, it's made even worse by the fact that Adam Sandler is supposed to be helping Drew Barrymore in her wedding, not wrecking it. Now, any sort of moral compunction for breaking up a pre-existing couple is avoided in these films, usually by making the significant other an irredeemable jerk. Wedding Crashers makes Zach a complete caricature of a prep school jerk, a cheating, entitled ass. But it's not solely on behalf of the other guy or gal that you don't want to spend time trying to break up existing couples. It's because it's very tough to feel secure in a relationship with someone who you know is willing to betray their partner. There are so many singles out there, and focusing on someone that's unavailable only reinforces a scarce mindset when it comes to finding love. Which brings us to our next point. Suffering, dependence, self-sacrifice are all treated as indicators of love. In fact, there are often tests of love, like in A Knight's Tale, where Jocelyn insists that William lose repeated jousts in order to prove his love to her. This is not without consequence, as William is injured to the point of being unable to walk afterwards. According to Twilight, the only way that you know a relationship is real is if you suffer deeply afterwards. The teenage Bella sits for a months-long depression after Edwards leaves and affirms this point.
The pain is my only reminder that he was real.
Even the sisterly love in Frozen is defined by the willingness to sacrifice one's own life. What's common to all these scenarios is that love is proven by pain. And if you buy into that, it's exactly what you'll create in your relationships. You'll make opportunities for yourself and your partner to suffer as a testament to love. But there is another view on love, that it's marked by acceptance, joy, and mutual growth. That love can be so transformative that even when a relationship ends, both parties are happier, better people for having experienced it. And rather than codependence with a beloved individual, love could be marked by a more positive approach to all of life, such that it weren't meaningless if that person were gone for some reason. But of course, that lacks dramatic swings, so we don't see it on screen. And this takes us to the crux of all of this, what I believe is the most serious problem in so many of our movies, songs, and novels. It's that a romantic relationship is the de facto solution to the problem of life, specifically that we so often feel alone and incomplete. Hercules says it here.
Oh. Meg, when I'm with you, I don't feel so alone.
And the most romantic scene in Jerry Maguire is him reaffirming this point.
You complete me. And I've just had...
Shut up. Just shut up. You had me at hello.
Now, these movies deserve credit because they do get something right. Something does feel like it's missing for many people, but the answer is not necessarily romance. In fact, these movies often overlook what is probably a more foundational piece. For instance, family is often denigrated. Hercules gives up his family for a woman who has mostly lied to him and manipulated him. Ariel leaves her family behind after only 3 days with Prince Eric when she didn't even speak to him. Similarly, friends are often ignored or viewed as buffoonish impediments to the true prize of romantic love. Now, this isn't to say that intimate relationships are always bad. They can be wonderful. But the protagonist's willingness in these movies to give up their friends and family is a cop-out of one of love's most important lessons, that it can heal and improve the sometimes difficult relationships with the people we've known the longest. Instead, Hollywood would have us search for new, magical, significant others rather than understanding, forgiving, and loving our families and friends. But beyond even friends and family, there is a deeper lesson that's not emphasized in most movies, and it's that self-love is the foundation of a happy life and of a happy relationship. This means that instead of relying on others to fill you up, you give yourself the love and acceptance you've been conditioned to expect from a romantic partner. You learn to not feel lonely in your own company, to feel complete when you're not tied to someone else. And this allows you to let go of the narrow view of romantic love that would see you made lovesick for longing of a particular individual. And it opens up the possibility for a view of life and love that is less romantic, but's more heartwarming. The king of rom-coms, Hugh Grant, says it the best.
If you look for it, I've got a sneaky feeling you'll find that love actually is all around.
The journey to inner self-confidence that makes you feel totally secure and that naturally attracts others, of course, can take time, but it is absolutely worth it. Not only because it helps you effortlessly attract amazing relationships, friendships, and career opportunities, but also for the confidence that you feel even when you're alone. And if you want to get started on that journey or speed it up tremendously, I highly recommend checking out our flagship program, Charisma University. Charisma University is a simple, step-by-step guided course that is guaranteed to make you more charismatic and more confident in just 30 days. Inside of Charisma University, you will discover instantly useful techniques to radically boost your charisma and confidence. And while it is focused on social confidence, inevitably that begins to spill over into other situations in your life as well. Now, you can read all about the details in the link below, but I think hearing from members is the best way to let you know more about the course. So here are just a few of the things that members have written in via email or the course comments. The first one is from a guy who used Charisma University to transform his social and dating life. He says, life-changing. In 6 weeks, I went from being socially awkward with just a few friends to the life of every event I attend. I also went from having serious girl problems to dating the girl of my dreams. Charisma University transformed me from a lonely introvert hoping to better connect with people to an energy-filled extrovert who makes new friends everywhere he goes. The next member writes in after having crushed an interview and landing a job through Charisma University. He says, I interviewed at dozens of places for jobs after medical school. At the end of one of my interview days, the doctor came to me, pulled me aside, and said I was hands down the best interview out of everybody, and that they would love to have me at their program. They ranked me #1, and it's my current job. This last one comes from another guy who says Charisma University helped his dating life, and he writes, firstly, loving your course. I have cherry-picked a few things, for example, the filter lesson in the conversation module. This one lesson completely changed my life. I've liked a girl for a year now, but never thought much of it because I thought she was too pretty. Took your lessons, gave things a shot, and now we are dating. Now, Charisma University also comes with a 60-day money-back guarantee that is 100% for any reason at all. That means that there's no risk on your part. Either you become more charismatic and confident, or you can get every single penny back. Now, if that interests you and you want to find out more about Charisma University, I highly recommend that you click the link on the screen or in the description. If you do, I will look forward to seeing you on the inside. Either way, I hope that you've enjoyed today's video, and I will see you in the next one.